Hey, good morning, guys. Class of 18, class of 19, and some others that are sprinkled in. Welcome. We appreciate the way you came in this morning. Thank you for allowing yourselves to come in and pick your own seat. It's not middle school anymore. You guys did a great job with that. Now, I have bragged to everybody that is in front of you and around you about how great Nansemond River is. You know that, I know that, and I know that you're not going to disappoint today. So if you're sitting next to somebody that you think is probably going to be talkative, because I know it won't be you, please move, or at least you might want to just see me, because we don't want to have that one person get called out. With that said, special guests are here today from the city, from the city's attorney's office, Commonwealth Attorney's Office, and the City of Suffolk's Police Department.
Good morning. My name is Steve Patterson. I'm Deputy Chief of Operations, City of Suffolk Police Department, and we're here today to talk about a very serious matter. I hope you'll all pay attention to me, because ultimately what I don't want to have happen this year or any year is have to respond out any time of the day or night and see mangled up cars and dead bodies and families crying and a whole bunch of paperwork getting sent over to Mr. Glassman's office for a file put together that then I can look on Wavy News 10 and see you locked up for involuntary manslaughter, okay? This is very serious business. Bottom line is, we're talking about drinking and driving. And I'd like for y'all to think, when you're looking at this, think about texting too. I know everybody in here, y'all text, right? And I'm very confident none of you text and drive, right? That's funny, and we laugh about it, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I believe it was a graduate of Kings Fork High School last year, was going down Route 10, and he just pled guilty to involuntary manslaughter, texting while driving, rear-ended a car, the car spun around, hit another vehicle. Unfortunately, someone died, and he was convicted of their death, okay? So we laugh about drinking and driving, we laugh about texting and driving, excuse me. That's 10 years of your life is gonna be gone in prison. And then you gotta live with that the rest of your life, okay? So, what are some of the consequences if we get caught driving drunk? Well, first of all, everybody likes to have a license, right? Most of y'all spent probably the last 3 or 4 years trying to get your license. You wanted that license so bad, well, guess what's gonna happen? We're gonna take it. So you're not gonna have a license anymore. So you're not gonna be able to go to work, you're not gonna be able to go to school, you're not gonna be able to get around, your parents aren't gonna take you everywhere, and your friends are gonna think you're a freeloader, and they're not gonna mess with you either, okay? So forget that. Above all, you're jeopardizing your safety, your friend's safety, my safety, everybody in this room's safety, everybody in the world's safety if you're out there drinking and driving, texting and driving. Bottom line, guys, you're not paying attention to the road, you're intoxicated, you can't drive like you normally do. I know everyone in here is an expert driver. I was 17, 18, I was an expert too, until I put it in the ditch a couple times. And then bottom line is I had to realize I'm not an expert. You're still learning to drive, okay? So please pay attention to that. All right, so you don't want to jeopardize your future, jobs, colleges. How many of y'all want to go in the military? Last I heard, the military does not accept DUIs. How many of y'all want to go in public safety? Whether it's police, fire, EMS, sheriff's office? Nobody wants to admit it, huh? Okay, I got one. Well, thank you. Thank you. Hopefully it's police department. Thank you. And I know a bunch of y'all like to sit at home and probably play video games and eat what you want to eat and watch what you want to watch, and you like to have your room to yourself. Well, guess what? If you go to that place called jail, all that's gone. Bottom line, you're not going to have that anymore, okay? And I don't know about you guys, but what worries me worse than anything is that financial cost right there. $10,000 is nothing to turn your nose up at. $10,000 is a lot of money. Some of y'all going off to college, I'm fairly confident your first year is going to be well over that, right? Exactly. So think about what you're doing to your parents and you're doing to yourself. So how do we come across you guys? How many of you here have been through a DUI checkpoint? Okay. Bottom line is we pop them up on occasion. Surprise, we're there. You come through, you've been drinking, and we have a DUI. Calls from citizens. You would be amazed how many calls we get on an annual basis that a citizen's falling behind a car and that car is weaving back and forth across the road or about ready to hit somebody, okay? We respond, we catch up, we see it, we stop you, you're drunk, you go to jail. Also observations, weaving, no headlights, speeding. And And believe it or not, we've had a lot of these where people just say stopped at a green light. They stopped when it was red, they passed out behind the wheel, foot on the brake, hand on the steering wheel, and they're knocked out. That's very dangerous for them, us, and everybody else in the motoring society, because we got to deal with that then. But I want you to remember this, no matter what, all this is good. But you riding down the road, your headlights out, your tail lights out, you don't use a turn signal. A lot of young people like to put fancy new equipment on their cars that the Commonwealth of Virginia hadn't approved, and our guys get out there and stop you. That's all it takes. One traffic stop. Don't even have to see you weaving. It just takes one traffic stop for some equipment violation. You've been drinking, and then it was game on at that point, okay? So just remember that. So after the stop, what happened? We have the officer's observations, field sobriety test, do a PBT, see what your breath alcohol is. You're gonna get arrested. Juveniles, we'll be calling your parents. If you're an adult, we'll take you to the jail out at Elephant's Fork. You're gonna have to post a bond. You can get your license taken immediately for 7 days, depending on what's gonna happen. And then when you go to court, the judge is gonna take your license. And a lot of this is not by choice, it's by law. We just have to do it. And you're gonna have to lose your license. And then you're gonna end up going down to Mr. Glassman's office and the sheriff's house for court. And that's when the final punishment's gonna get put into you, okay? So ultimately you really need to think about what you're doing and ensure you don't do this. I like this last slide because this shows worse yet. You see the crash on the right, left, okay? If you look on the right, we see this every year. We see it across Tidewater, we see it across America. Young people get killed in crashes. And everybody runs out, puts these little crosses up with their pictures on it. They put up a bunch of balloons, throw out some teddy bears and some candles, and everybody cries about, oh, I wish I could have done something. Oh, I wish I could have done this. Well, I challenge you today. If you got a friend who's drinking and driving, I know your prom's coming up. I know you got all sorts of things coming up in your future. Graduation parties, the whole 9 yards. You got a friend that's drinking and driving, give them a ride, stand up, call somebody, and tell them, no, you're not going to do that. Second part of that challenge, texting and driving. Don't do it. If you're riding with somebody who is, tell them drop me off. Get out the car. It's not worth it, okay? I appreciate everybody's time, and at this point, I'll turn it over to Mr. Glassman.
Good morning. How are y'all doing? Well, thank you very much. My name is Matthew Glassman. I'm a prosecutor, deputy Commonwealth attorney here in the city of Suffolk. I've been here for 17 years. I've prosecuted everything from speeding to homicide. And today I'm here to talk to you about DUI. First thing I want to talk to you about is your car. Most people think of a car as just like a mode of transportation, getting one place to another. They like to deck it up. They like to get stuff to make it look good. They like nice cars. But most people don't think about a car as also a deadly weapon. When you get behind a car, you have your life in your hands. You have the lives of your passengers in your hands, so your brothers, your sisters, whoever you're taking, your friends. You have everybody else out on the road. So when you're behind the car, you need to really concentrate. And things that distract you, like Deputy Chief Patterson talked to you about, was texting and driving. Those are distracting. And anytime you put in a substance in your body that can distract, such as marijuana or alcohol, that takes away from your concentration. So I'm here to talk to you about driving under the influence and the prosecution. So we got the elements: the operating or physical control of the vehicle. Motor vehicles are cars, trucks, mopeds, anything with an engine. You have to be under the influence of alcohol or drugs, and to a degree which impairs your ability to operate a vehicle safely. So anything that affects your motor skills, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you stand, anything that affects you that way can be under the influence. So that's whether that's drugs or alcohol. Operation. It means engaging in machinery which alone or in a sequence activates the car power. No bright line rule. There are a bunch of factors that you consider, they're up there. Who has one of these? What this is? It's key fob, right? It's not even your normal key that you put in the ignition. There are cases in Virginia where a person had the key fob in their pocket, they're in their own driveway with the music going. Does anyone think that would be constitute operation of a vehicle? Anyone thinks that's operation of a vehicle? Anyone? You're right. The one person. The Supreme Court of Virginia says anything that you use to engage the electrical components of your vehicle is operation. So you don't actually have to be driving to operate. So take that into consideration. So let's go to impairment. Weaving, when you're driving around, if you're weaving, if you're not signaling correct, if you're running off the road, driving too slow. As Major Patterson said, if you're stopped at a green light, no show impairment. Physical observations are bloodshot eyes, disheveled clothing, odor of alcohol, inability to stand. Some of the tests that they'll do after you've been stopped for a DUI is a PBT. A PBT is what's called a preliminary breath test, where you're by the side of the road and you blow in this little tube, and it tells the officer whether or not you are the influence of alcohol. The PBT is sufficient enough if it's over 0.08 to arrest you for driving under the influence. Implied consent. Many of you don't know, but when you get your license, you are consenting to have your blood or your breath taken by an officer to determine whether or not you are the influence of alcohol or drugs. So they don't need, for a breath test, they don't need to go ahead and get a search warrant. So if you're pulled over and the officer says, we need you to blow, you can't say, no, you need a search warrant, I know my rights. You've already consented to getting, when you get your license, to having to blow in the PBT. All right, the breath test is admissible in court, and if you have a 0.08 or above, you're deemed to be under the influence of alcohol. What happens if you refuse to take that test? That is another crime of refusal. Penalties are losing your license for refusal of breath for a loss of 1 year. If you're stopped a second time and you refuse, it's up to 12 months in jail, which is a class 1 misdemeanor, and you lose your license for 3 years. Refusal of a blood test is the civil penalty for the first offense if you lost a license for 1 year, and for a second or subsequent offense is a loss of license for up to 3. For everybody in this room, except for the teachers and Sheriff Harris and Major Patterson, you're all under the age of 21. So I've been talking about a 0.08. That is for an adult DUI conviction. For anyone that's under 21 years of age, 0.02. 0.02. That's essentially half of a beer. Right? It's basically zero tolerance for anyone under the age of 21 to be driving under the influence of alcohol. Those are the penalties. All right, I talked to you about adult DUI, penalty for a first offense. Minimum fine is $250. That's the minimum the court can give you. The maximum is $2,500 fine. The minimum that they can give you in jail is 30 days. A judge can suspend that. The maximum is up to 12 months. There are mandatory jail sentences. Remember I said a judge could suspend the 30 days? If your blood alcohol is over 0.15 or 0.20, there are mandatory periods in jail that a judge cannot suspend. The legislature has required that judges don't have any discretion, and they will have to send you to jail, even for a first offense. Second offense, the penalties just get worse. Minimum fine is $500, and depending on the time period, there might be a mandatory minimum jail sentence that a judge cannot suspend. So, first offense, second offense are misdemeanor offenses. third offense is a felony. Driving under the influence of alcohol, third offense, will get you a felony conviction. Major Patterson was talking about how difficult it is to get jobs with a first DUI. Can you imagine how difficult it will be to get a job with a felony? Again, there's mandatory minimums associated with that, up to 90 days in jail. I said it's a felony, it's a class 6 felony, which means up to 5 years in prison. Up to 5 years in prison. For those that haven't learned that a third offense is bad enough, if you get a fourth offense, again, it's a felony, up to 5 years in prison. However, remember I told you about those mandatory minimums? There's a mandatory minimum associated with the fourth offense, and it's 1 year in prison. Also, mandatory fines and other things. DUI-related statutes. Major Patterson talked about involuntary manslaughter, about the Kings Fork High School student. He was charged under killing somebody while they're under the influence of alcohol and driving a vehicle. Those are the penalties. There's also DUI maiming. So if you hurt somebody, also a felony, class 6 felony. All right, let's talk about some headlines. These are local headlines in the recent past. Suffolk School is reeling after senior's death in crash. May 1, 2012. Teen indicted in friend's death after Suffolk crash. January 1st, 2013. Teen handed juvenile detention to Suffolk DUI death. February 8, 2013. Teen handed. That's all of you. Juvenile detention. Next one. This teen killed his passenger friend in an accident. His BAC was .11 at the time of his accident. .11. All right? Those are some of the headlines. Those are how DUIs can affect you. We take it very seriously. Thank you.
Good job, Matt. Good morning, Nansville River Warriors. I think your prom is May 25th at over Virginia Beach. All right, that's. I hope you all enjoy it and have a good time. Thank you for allowing me to come and speak to you, and thank you for listening to me just for a few minutes. I will not be long. What it boils down to, and I know this is something you hear probably on a daily basis, if not in school, at home, church, wherever you're at, is good decision making. And that's what it boils down to, is good decision making. I'm not going to lecture you. Every one of you in here know exactly what can happen to you, whether you're riding with someone who's texting or driving, drinking and driving. You're taking a chance. It's a bad decision. Standing up, the challenge that the Deputy Chief of Police gave you is an outstanding challenge. And you'll be helping someone, not something happen, something bad to them that you'll regret down the road the next morning when you get up. You say, well, I could have done something. Because we constantly say, oh, I should have done something. I could have done something, and we don't. And that's something that you'll live with the rest of your life. The Deputy Commonwealth's Attorney, Matthew Glassman, is going to be a judge come July the 1st. So he has made good decisions in his life. The Deputy Chief of Police graduated from Forest Glen High School, went on to college and got his master's degree. He's made good decisions in his life. I think one day he'll be the Chief of Police of our city. In 1990, I worked on the police department, and it was Mother's Day. It was a Sunday. And I was in the southern part of the city. It was early in the morning. And a person was coming home. The prom had been the night before. And the person was coming home from the prom, and they had an empty beer box in their car. And they did not want to get home with the empty beer box in their car because their parents were going to have an issue with it. So this individual decided he's going to change lanes and throw the box out his driver's side window. And he hits a car of 6. Mom, dad, 4 kids. 5-year-old sitting in the middle of mom and dad in the front seat. I happened to be home getting something to eat, which was nowhere from where I lived, a mile. When I got there, 3 of them were dead in the car. 3 of them were dead. The little girl, 2 children in the back. correct, I'm sorry, dad, little girl, and one of the kids in the back. One of the other kids in the back is paralyzed to this day. So that bad decision cost 3 people their life and 1 paralyzed for the rest of their life. I think about it all the time. Later in life, I became acquainted more with this individual who caused this accident, and he has never been the same, never. Good decision making, that's what I would really like for you guys to do, good decision making. Now, if you are in the city of Suffolk on prom night or prom early morning, and you are getting ready to get into a car with someone who you know has no business driving, and you haven't been doing something you're not supposed to do, you call me, because I'm going to come get you. I'm going to take you home. I'm not going to ask you any questions, and you can get my card from Master Police Officer Chipman. If you're in the city of Suffolk, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and you're getting ready to get in the car with someone that you know, because guess what? Every one of us in here know there's somebody not going to do what they're supposed to do. All right? Let's be real. Let's be real. All right. All right. So you pick up the phone and you call me, and I'm going to come get you. I'm not going to ask you any questions. As long as you haven't been doing something you're not supposed to do. Now, if you've done something you're not supposed to do, I'm not your guy. All right? Be careful prom night. Be careful graduation. It's an important time. Don't start your life off behind the 8 ball. Don't do it. Okay, guys? God bless you.
Have a nice round of applause for our guest speakers today.